Hi. Invitation on the set of a TV show resulted 50 years later in a famous Gilmore Girls reference and a Nickelodeon CD, but this story has a big hook.
My name is Darren, and my story is about a sweet, sweet deal that changed the world.
Hi, my name is Drew, and I'm going to tell you about an artist who chose to work smarter, not harder.
What does this all have to do with Dinner Party? Find out in this episode of History Bluffs. Hello and welcome to History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. My name is Adam, your announcer, and I'm going to welcome now to the show, it's your host, it's Alan! Oh, hey, there, put him in the big box.
There I am. That's right.
That was a lot of vibing out there.
That was the truth, which is in fact stranger than fiction. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Good to have you here, Adam. What's new with you?
What's new with me is I haven't actually had dinner yet. So our theme, which is, of course, Dinner Party.
There it is. Dinner Party is our theme for today.
I'll be thinking about dinner this whole time.
All right. So hopefully you'll mute your microphone as you chow down during our show. Speaking of show, it's a show with rules, Adam. We want to see those rules for our viewers on YouTube and Twitch.
Oh, we can do that. Let's get some rules up. We've got a rules card to show you for your viewing pleasure. Alan, tell them what they are.
The historians are inspired by the topic. Today it is Dinner Party. The true stories are in fact factual. They cannot be made up. The bluff story, the premise, the crux as it were, will be fictional.
That is the bluff.
That would be the bluff. And no help from you, the live audience. The recorded audience, shout help as much as you want because we cannot hear you. And those are the rules.
All right. That's great. Thank you very much, Alan. We appreciate that.
Now, we have 3 rounds in this game show. Round 1 is 75 seconds. Round 2 is 60 seconds. And round 3 is a mere 45 seconds. At the end, we will determine who is a true armchair historian and who is the history bluff. Correct.
That's right.
That's right. Yes, so let's kick it off. We're going to start with round 1.
Oh, speaking of rounds, we have to wheel out the round tracker 9,000.
Oh, we're upgraded back to the 9,000. There we are. The latest state-of-the-art tracker of rounds.
That's right.
And so those of you viewing at home, you will see these little dots fill up throughout the round. And once they are filled, we will proceed to the next round. But it is time for round 1. Adam, let's show our audience what that means.
What that means is round number 1. Oh, that's the sound of a new round. It's fresh, Alan.
Fresh. And speaking of fresh, we haven't heard from our first historian, which is Chris. Chris, I want to hear your take on our topic, Dinner Party, right now.
All right. So when I heard Dinner Party, I was only half paying attention, and I partially heard Donner Party, which led me to think of when I was on the road. I did a History Bluffs in a minute video of the History Bluffs on the road video, and I talked about Donner Party when I was out in Salt Lake City because they went through there. And I said the Donner Party was also known as the Donna Reed Party, sometimes mistaken for the Donna Reed Party. And Donna Reed, the mom of America in the 50s, well-known TV hostess as a mom, renowned, revered actress in the day. She was known for having dinner parties with her castmates, and it became a thing. And so she was the star of the ABC sitcom called The Donna Reed Show. Started in 1958, ran to 1966. And it was really popular, so well known. And a couple of big things in the show itself was dinner parties. Twice, actually, they had episodes about dinner parties on there. It was mocked or given an ode in the Gilmore Girls 50 years later, and I'll talk about that in round number 2.
Wow. So, not the Donner Reed party, but the Donna Reed dinner party,
Yeah.
where a different type of eating was occurring. Drew!
a dinner party.
Drew, let's hear your take.
That story took just a crazy roller coaster ride that Chris took us on there, because dinner to Donna to dinner to Donner to Donna Reed, and yeah, that just I haven't really heard enough yet to even know where he's going with this. So I will wait to hear what happens in rounds 2 and 3.
All right, fair enough. Darren, what's your take?
Well, I am aware that Donna Reed exists, so that part is definitely factual. But dinner parties in the late 50s to early 60s, if there is not a Jell-O mold layered with like canned tuna and pickles, I'm just going to flip this entire show.
Uh-oh. We're flipping tables already? I don't know. Drew, I think it's time to hear your story here in round 1.
Okay.
Are you ready to rock?
I think so.
Let's be served by Drew.
Okay, close your eyes for a second. I want you to picture the famous painting of a family gathered around the dinner table for what appears to be Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. Everyone is seated around the table, while at the head of the table is Grandpa in his suit, standing next to a grandma in her apron as she serves this big, delicious turkey. That painting is entitled Freedom from Want, but many people refer to it as simply the Thanksgiving picture. And the artist was Norman Rockwell. It is one painting in a series of 4 that debuted in December 1942 and were inspired by a speech made by President Franklin D. Roosevelt on December 7th of that year, on the 1-year anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. This speech became known as the FDR's 4 speech. In it, he proposed 4 fundamental freedoms that people worldwide ought to enjoy: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from war, and freedom from want. It was meant to be commentary on World War II and the United States' decision to get involved after initially hoping not to. The speech gave a man named William Gibbs an idea, and I'll tell you who William Gibbs is in round 2.
Interesting. Darren, what do you say about FDR's freedom of want?
Well, FDR exists, Norman Rockwell exists, and I believe I've seen this painting that he speaks of. I'm not going to flip any tables in this round because it was far too wholesome of a story to flip tables or shows.
All right, fair. Chris, what do you think?
Well, the only discrepancy is he said family sitting around a table, then he said grandpa standing next to grandma. So that's just one little thing. But no, December 7th, 42 was 1 year after December 7th, 41. That's accurate. We are experts on calendars here. I fully expect to hear him say that William Gibbs turned out to be the grandfather of Andy and Barry Gibb, the Gibbs from, of course, later singing fame. But right now, yeah, I agree with Darren. It's plausible, and wait to hear more.
All right, we've confirmed that Norman Rockwell, FDR, and the bombing of Pearl Harbor all existed. Fascinating.
I hope the audience is very happy with what they've learned.
Come here for the latest facts.
Fresh off the table.
All right. Well, Darren, let's hopefully you'll educate us some more in your story in round 1.
Okay,
All
let's
right.
do it.
Aloha, history bluffers. Chances are when I mention Hawaii, you probably think of hula dancers or tikis, or maybe that 3-part episode of the Brady Bunch where Mike goes to Hawaii on a business trip and the company's like, yeah, go ahead, bring the entire family along, including your 6 kids, your wife, and your maid. All expenses paid. But that's hardly the least believable thing in my story, because my story revolves around how in 1874, King Kalakua of Hawaii traded Pearl Harbor to the United States in exchange for access to the United States sugar market. And even though he didn't get any money, Kalakua turned out to be a shrewd negotiator. The following year, Hawaii's sugar exports were up over 700%, and soon investment money was pouring into Hawaii from all over the United States. Kalakua negotiated the terms in person when he came to the United States and met with President Ulysses S. Grant on December 12, 1874, in an event which would become the first ever White House state dinner.
Wow. All right, Chris, you are on notice for having not linked Pearl Harbor to Dinner Party.
Yeah.
Everyone else did it somehow. Well, what's your opinion so far on Darren's story?
I'm not following your comment, but I think we'll have a comment on Darren's thing. The sugar, I suspect, earlier in life, a wise friend tried to convince me of the origin of the phrase stiff drink, and I was skeptical at first, and it turned out to be true. And I believe we're headed down a path where he's going to talk about this sugar transaction, trading Pearl Harbor for access to the sugar trade, and he's going to tell me that's where the phrase sweet deal came from. So I'm going to believe him right now.
Ooh, that would be a fun, exciting revelation. Drew, what do you think?
I think the big takeaway I have is that had King Kalakua not traded Pearl Harbor, then maybe the attack on Pearl Harbor maybe wouldn't have ever happened. It wouldn't have been like a target. So I just to connect the dots here. But
Drew, then they wouldn't have the 1 year anniversary with your painting and the FDR decree.
And then my story would never exist.
Oh my
See?
gosh.
That's how history works. It's interwoven.
Oh, you can't alter history. It all becomes unraveled.
Mind blown.
Oh boy.
Now-
Adam, my mind is being blown right now. I got to consult the round tracker. Oh wait, what's this?
Uh-oh.
1, 2, 3.
Oh,
That's a full round. Adam, what do we do now?
we're going to go to round number 2. There we do. That's how we do.
I
Round
love
number
it.
2.
So now it's round 2 where we only have a mere minute to tell our stories. I'm going to start this round with Mr. Darren. Darren H., you take center stage, and we want to hear a little bit more about your Hawaiian story.
All right. So, despite living on a remote tropical island, and this is almost 30 years before the first telegraph cable reached Hawaii, King David Kalakua was a well-educated man, and he knew a lot about America. In fact, he met and remained friends with Mark Twain after Mark Twain visited Hawaii in 1866. And so when Kalakua wanted to get a meeting with President Grant, he asked Mark Twain for an introduction. And Mark Twain agreed, and he got the meeting. Simple as that, I guess. When Kalakua arrived at the White House, Grant pulled out all the stops and observed all diplomatic protocols. And despite it being a rather small affair with only 36 total in attendance, the cost of this affair was over $3,000 in 1874 money, which is equivalent to about $80,000 today, or $2,200 a person. But all in all, you could consider it a bargain because 20 years later, the Hawaiians took a vote and decided to voluntarily become a U.S. territory.
Wow. Mark Twain did not take a train, did not take a plane, but he got to Hawaii somehow. Drew, what do you think?
I spotted a red flag, so I'm already a little suspicious because suddenly in round number 2, we're on a first name basis. It's David. It's King David Kalakua. And I don't think we mentioned David in round number 1. And the reason it's a red flag to me is because David, like, there was like a Hawaiian alphabet. And I'm not saying like David can't be a Hawaiian name, but I don't think D is part of the Hawaiian alphabet. So that's something I'll notice.
Wow, interesting facts we're throwing around here. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I'm looking down at my notes, and I also noted that, King Kalakua, his name is David. Say what? Flag went up there. And then, he throws out Mark Twain, who we know was a real writer, real person. Ulysses S. Grant. And then that somehow Mark Twain granted a meeting with President Grant to King Kalakua. Very convenient interweaving of some well-known people who lived all at the same time but didn't necessarily interact with each other. So I'm waiting to hear his wrap up in round number 3.
Interesting. We got some theories getting thrown around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're coming through.
Well, it's time for round number 2's follow-up. Let's see, who has not... We've only seen one so far.
That's true.
So let's go to Chris. No, wait, Chris, you already started last round. I'm throwing all this ordering around. Drew, we're going to have you kick off your round 2 story right now. You ready, Drew?
Yes, sir.
All right, you go ahead.
Okay, so Norman Rockwell had been working since 1915 when he started drawing for Scouting Today magazine. He actually served in the Army during World War I as a military artist and created enlistment posters like the famous Uncle Sam painting. So he says, like, I want you. That wasn't him, but he did stuff like that. He was working for the Saturday Evening Post in December 1942 when the editor, William Gibbs, requested a series of 4 paintings inspired by FDR's speech that would run that same month for 4 consecutive weeks with corresponding essays. Rockwell was living a good life in Winchester, Connecticut, and more or less working at his own pace in small-town USA. He spent a lot of time at the American Legion Lodge, drinking and playing poker with the other Army vets, and he had a spot in the corner where he actually could socialize and paint at the same time. When he got the call from the Post, it came with a quick turnaround time. Gibbs wanted the first 2 paintings in 3 days, so Rockwell had to find a shortcut.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
I go back to my Bee Gees comment before because you take William Gibbs. Williams often go by Bill. Gibbs starts with a G. Bill starts with a B. Bee Gees. So I think of Andy and Barry and Tito and Michael, the Bee Gees. And, I am skeptical.
It's a long walk.
Okay.
Long walk for skepticism right there. I like it, Chris.
We got some Jacksons joining the Bee Gees now. That's interesting. Darren, what do you think?
It's good.
Yeah, I hear of Tito and I think of vodka, and Tito's vodka didn't exist back then, but that's the kind of thing he would have been drinking in the Legion, drinking maybe a gimlet, which sounds like Gibson. So I'm just going to say that.
Oh, well. Someone's really offended in that audience. I apologize.
Say so.
Well, Chris, speaking of someone who would never exclaim the name of Christianity's deity, we're going to go to you because I don't think Donna Reed would throw around the J word. So what? Let's hear some non-Pearl Harbor references in your dinner party.
Yes. Do it. Okay. Absolutely. So Donna Reed, known again as this wholesome American mom from the Donna Reed Show, and best known for her role as Mary Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. So much so that 50 years later in the television show Gilmore Girls, Rory Gilmore, one of the leads of the show, the daughter of Lorelai Gilmore, she actually wore a dress that was worn by Donna Reed on the Donna Reed Show while creating a dinner party for her boyfriend and some friends. They referenced that. And then 2005, Nickelodeon puts out a CD called The Donna Reed Dinner Party, and it featured 13 different artists and included Doris Day and Paul Anka. And so all of this leads to the biggest departure of her career for Donna Reed, and I'm going to tell you about that in round number 3.
Okay. Darren, what's your opinion so far?
If he tells me the departure is that she becomes a Ninja Turtle, I will flip this show.
Whoa. That's fair. If Donna Reed were a Ninja Turtle, I'd be pretty aghast myself. Drew, what do you think?
So he mentioned It's a Wonderful Life, which, to me, it's like that whole movie is like a Norman Rockwell painting come to life. So I feel like, he's maybe borrowing from my story a little bit. And then this album with 13 artists. No Bee Gees?
What?
No.
Apparently not.
No.
No Bee Gees.
Not a Bee Gee in
Okay.
sight.
Yeah.
Missed
No Bee
opportunity.
Gees. All right, that is a missed opportunity. You know what else is a missed opportunity? A big announcement about our third round, Adam.
Oh, we have an announcement to make. Rounds 1 and 2 are complete, leaving us only one place to go, Alan, and that's round number 3. How about it? There, a third round.
Darren, we want to hear more about Hawaii, more about Mark Twain, if he's in the story anymore, and whatever else happened with King David of Hawaii.
All right.
Let's do it.
So the details of this first meal are probably lost to history, but it's said to have over 20 courses, including several choices of soups, fish, boiled meat, grilled meat, game, and more. All of which were tasted, of course, first by the king's food testers, which in itself is a pretty sweet gig. What's not known is if or how much sugar was used in the preparation of the meal. But what we do know is in 1874, Hawaii exported about $1 million of sugar a year. And by the end of Kalakaua reign, after this deal in 1891, it was up to $31 million a year. That's a 22% year-over-year increase. And that's a number that puts, like, the Dow Jones Industrial Average to shame.
Oh, interesting. All right. Chris, what's your take?
I think a 22% increase is unsustainable. I
That's great.
I don't believe it.
Ooh, okay.
Oh.
So is that an official
Nope.
accusation? Not yet.
Nope.
Okay, that's
Not
fair.
yet. Oh,
Drew,
I was
what do
ready.
you think so far?
Yeah, Darren lost me. They started to go into some math, and that just my head hurts. But another red flag.
We hate math.
Another red flag is he started out with like details were probably lost. Like how convenient for a show that's relying on telling us history. Probably lost.
Probably lost. We don't know. Okay. Well, you know what we do know is that our other two historians have yet to go. So, Chris, I want to hear the rest of your Donna Reed dinner party story.
So, excuse me, Donna Reed, dinner party, right? Donna Reed became synonymous with dinner party became synonymous with Donna Reed in her show, the Donna Reed Show, which was a comedy that ran for 8 years on ABC. And she was this wholesome American mom. She giving out, great advice and witty comments and this loving, nurturing person. But boom, she got tapped to audition with actor Aldo Ray for this movie called From Here to Eternity. And she walked away with the role of Alma, a prostitute. America's favorite mom played a prostitute in From Here to Eternity. And she nailed it. She was so good, she won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Playing a prostitute. I hear Adam laughing at me. I hear Adam laughing.
She nailed it. Really, Chris? She
Hey
nailed
now.
it. Oh, God, no.
She won an Academy Award.
I'll bet.
Wow. Prostitutes know how to nail it, that's for sure. Darren, what do you think?
Aren't all actors prostitutes, really, Aaron?
Yeah,
Except for us, because we don't get paid.
that's true also. If you're an amateur, you're not a prostitute. That makes perfect sense to me. Drew, what do you think?
I think Chris was, Darren and I both have like Hawaiian ties in our stories, and suddenly Chris has From Here to Eternity. Which where did that take place? Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's just trying to just feed off of our energy with our stories.
How convenient.
Interesting.
And what happened in Hawaii? But Pearl Harbor, that we all know. That was the final piece that linked all the stories together.
Wow.
All right, well,
Happened
we
in Hawaii
still
stays
have...
in Hawaii.
That's right. Well, look, we've got one more empty dot here in the round tracker, Adam.
Yes, we do.
There it is, right there.
Right there.
So we're going to bring up our final historian who hasn't gone and wrapped it up. I believe that's Drew, right, Drew?
Yes, sir.
Go for it, Drew.
Okay, at the lodge, he had already been working on a painting depicting his drinking buddies around the poker table. It wasn't for any particular publication. It was just kind of a doodle of sorts that he had been playing around with. He realized he could easily switch gears and convert it into the painting we all know today with the Thanksgiving dinner. The men around the table were the easy part. All they had to do was clean them up a bit. For the grandpa, there was a grumpy old bartender at the lodge that modeled for the grandpa. He went next door to a beauty salon and recruited a bunch of ladies to be the woman in the painting. And then for the grandma with the turkey, there was a pastor's wife who just happened to be walking by that just fit the part perfectly. Rockwell even inserted himself in the bottom corner. You can see him almost staring at the camera. And so this famous painting of Thanksgiving dinner was actually supposed to be drunk guys playing poker.
What?
Wow.
Oh boy. You know what? Drew had me until that last amazing reveal, so I don't know now. Chris, what do you think about Drew's story?
I agree with you. He had me until that last reveal, especially when he said, that he was just trying to soften the impact of all these drunk guys. I mean, Norman Rockwell, he paints, he painted life as he saw it. He wouldn't take the time to go replace all these different characters in a painting, especially in his first submission. I'm having a hard time believing that. I am skeptical.
It wasn't his first. It was just he had a time crunch.
Oh, deadlines.
Okay.
So he was currently working on something, and he saw the ad, I guess, that needed his picture. Well, Drew, Darren, what do you think?
I think it's slightly more plausible than what I thought he was going to say, which was that he turned it into dogs playing poker.
I was picturing that.
That would have been fun. A Norman Rockwell dogs playing poker.
And yes. I would vote yes for that story. But
all right. Well, now it is time. Everyone's told their stories. You, the audience, you've got an opinion, I'm sure, but I want to hear the historian's opinion right now. We're going to start with Drew. Drew, do you have an opinion on the historians?
Both had flaws, both had red flags. I could flip a coin here, really. So I'm just, for the sake of time, I'm just going to say that I think Darren is the bluff.
Oh, Drew says Darren. Darren, what do you say?
Oh, my goodness. Come back to me.
He's thrown in a request to come back later. We try not to do this, but Darren's done our second one of the history of history bluffs.
Ever, yeah. That's a rare played card.
Katie has played that card before, and as host, I'm going to allow it this second time. Chris, what do you think?
I think that I was paying less attention to Darren's ending because I was writing notes of my own about his story, and I missed something that led to a 22% return, which is completely unsustainable. But having said that, I'm having a hard time believing that Norman Rockwell, I can't even say his name, would substitute people from people just walking by, and so because the guy literally just painted what he saw, and I'm sticking with that premise. I am going to accuse Drew of being the bluff.
Drew's been accused by Chris.
Alan,
Adam.
That's interesting that Chris would say this because he's dressed like he would be in a Norman Rockwell painting. Currently.
Fair. He's got the newsy hat. He's got the vest.
Yeah, he does. See,
looking good. Very Rockwell-esque.
Right. Well, Darren, you requested extra time, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, and I used it to remember that it's just too gosh darn convenient that Chris had to just stick in another reference to Hawaii at the very end. It clearly was not in his story until he heard what Drew and I had to say about Hawaii. So clearly Chris is the bluff.
Wow. Really? That's a three-way tie. Well, what that means on the good side is that one of you has correctly guessed the bluff. I don't know who that is, though, but you know who does? Our tech, Adam.
That's right, I do. I will line up the perpetrators right now.
Ooh.
And,
trying to go away for you. Yep. There we go.
Okay, step off a virtual stage and make way for those of the accused. Was your bluff for this episode, was it Chris? Or could your bluff have been Darren? Or was your bluff Drew? I shall reveal it now. Your bluff for this entire episode, it was Drew.
Ooh. What that means is, Chris, you correctly guessed our bluff. Drew, shame on you for making up the story of Norman Rockwell's Thanksgiving dinner picture.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that Chris and Darren were telling the truth. We learned a little something about Mark Twain, about King David of Hawaii, and a little about Donna Reed's dinner party.
Yeah, we did. How about that? Oh, what's this? Drew's showing a picture of Norman Rockwell's Thanksgiving painting.
Wow.
So the painting exists, but the history that you presented was a bluff?
A bluff.
The bluff was that, and several other little details sprinkled in there. Pearl Harbor did happen, though. That was not.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that one.
All right.
Yeah.
So rest assured
Right.
that
Alan,
did happen.
come on back to our virtual stage, if
All
you
right.
will.
Well, I had a great time learning a little something about history. I hope you listeners and viewers also did. Adam, take us home.
Let's do it. Okay, don't forget to, you can find us, tune into our shows on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and everywhere else you can find your socials. And, of course, our audio podcast. You can tune in and hear these audio, and we will always be here every week. We'll see you next week for more learning and entertainment.